What is up, guys? It is me, Dalton TRM, and today we are doing the second episode of Raw R&R. Let's go! We did it! Anyway, this is the January 13th, 2025 edition, which is special in the case that yesterday was, for Raw, it was my birthday. That's fun. I became a whopping 20 years old, a fifth of a century old grandpa, unk, whatever you want to call me. I'm old. But that's not the point. The point today is to go over the events of Raw. So let's see. We'll start it off. The show started with the promo from CM Punk in the ring, and he started talking about how last week he beat Seth Rollins and still has a lot on his plate, but Seth isn't one of them anymore. Last year, the Royal Rumble match was his first match in WWE in over a decade. It didn't go his way. His tricep got separated. He continued by saying how his dreams were always so scary that people couldn't see him. Even he couldn't see him anymore. And he proceeded to do the John Cena "you can't see me" taunt. Punk continued by saying that he made his biggest setback and comeback, and follows up with the subject of comebacks by talking about the man you famously can't see, John Cena. Punk sees him, and he always has, and Punk notices how Cena has declared for the Royal Rumble, but Punk is here to do that as well. And Punk will throw 29 men over the top rope, whether they can see him or not, and when he wins, you'll hear this music, and then it was Seth Rollins' music. Off mic, Punk said, "It's always someone who doesn't want to interrupt me. Why can't it be someone like Rhea?" Hey, yo. Rollins comes into the ring with a noticeable bruise around his eye. It was either this one or this one. I couldn't tell you, but he started by saying how he knows Punk isn't happy to see him, but it shouldn't be surprise. Last week, Rollins told him he'd be in this ring whether he won, lost, or if it was a draw. He is a man of his word, and if he wasn't a man of his word and didn't show up when times were hard, that wouldn't be him. He would be Punk. Ouch. Punk interrupts by saying, "But I'd still be the winner, right?" Seth responds by saying he would rather be the worst version of himself than any version of Punk, which made me think of the Eminem song Kill Shot, where he goes, "I'd rather be 80-year-old me than 20-year-old you." That's basically the vibes I got from that line right there. Rollins continued by saying that he's lost big matches, title matches, and WrestleMania matches, but last week was the worst loss of his career. That's cap. He's never been more disappointed that he underestimated Punk. He didn't get the job done on the biggest stage of his life, and the only way Rollins can redeem himself is to take Punk's WrestleMania dreams and flush them away. Rollins continues by saying Punk is not going to win the Royal Rumble because he's going to win the Royal Rumble, and then Punk says it's every man for himself, and all he sees is a guy that couldn't pin him, so he's trying to take the easy way out by throwing him over the top rope. Nice. So, Punk is in the Rumble, and now Seth's in the Rumble. That's going to be fun, because it's already a stacked Rumble. But that's not it. Drew McIntyre's music hits, and he stays out on the stage, and he starts saying that they're both self-serving, and Punk interrupts him by saying the last time he saw McIntyre, he was on his knees with tears in his eyes, bleeding on his mat, and pleading for his life. And if McIntyre takes one more step, it'll take more than 15 staples to close up his head. Ouch. McIntyre says it may be a shock to Punk, but he wasn't talking to him. He was talking about Rollins. Rollins, in response, says that Punk's invitation is now his invitation, and he'll stomp McIntyre's head into the mat. McIntyre says that he should look into a mirror, and the only difference between Punk and Rollins is that Punk admits he's a big piece of crap. Dang. McIntyre says that Rollins acts like a big leader, but when everybody was there doing their part in the tribal combat match, Rollins was nowhere to be seen and was too worried about his own selfish agenda and his little match with Punk. Yeah, he's kind of spitting facts right there. Then he lost that match, and it's pathetic. Dang. Punk, in response, said he has no patience for Rollins or McIntyre. Punk is out of time, and if one of them wants to swing, he's right here. Rollins, in response, gets mad at Punk and McIntyre And then McIntyre suggests a triple threat and heads down to the ring before stopping himself and saying, "Why would I ever do that?" And that there is a bigger problem going on. Roman Reigns is playing chess while every other idiot is playing checkers, as McIntyre said. He also said he's always been a reluctant hero, but he'll step up for the locker room. And he finishes the promo by saying if only there was a way for him to get the title before Roman does. And then he figured out that there was, and he announced that he will see both of them in the Royal Rumble. So, Punk basically confirmed that he's going to be in the Rumble again, and then now we got Seth and Drew that are also going to be in the Royal Rumble. Oh boy. I'm telling you, Rumble's going to be fun this year. The first match on the card, Chad Gable versus the Mystery Luchador, which, guess what? It was Pentagon Jr., but now he's going by just Penta. Some notable spots in the match. Well, there was one part where they both were on their knees, basically how Punk and Seth were, where they were slapping the hell out of each other, but instead of slapping each other, they were chopping each other overhand. That was a spot I liked. And then, what I have? I have head hooked turnbuckle super kick, followed by a handstand corner drop kick from Penta. Okay, so what I meant to say was Chad Gable had his head hooked into the turnbuckle, and then he did that super kick to his head, which some wrestlers do. And then the handstand corner drop kicks where he was doing a handstand on the rope and he flipped it into a drop kick onto Gable. A German suplex on the apron from Gable. That it looked rough when he hit that. A belly-to-belly suplex into the corner from Gable. I like that spot too. The Mexican Destroyer from Penta. You gotta love it because the Canadian Destroyer is another one of those moves that you don't get to see rarely. So I thought it was great that he pulled it out. And it ended after Penta hit the Sacrifice, which is that move he did where he had his arm all up and he just freaking crunched it back. That looked painful. And then the Penta Driver, his finisher, with Penta defeating Chad Gable. Let's see. Backstage, Finn Balor, JD, and Carlito are all hanging out before Liv Morgan and Raquel walk on camera. Balor says to Liv he was just talking about how Liv will be world champion again real soon because she lost last week. Morgan says that it wasn't just about being champion. It was about taking a piece of Rhea Ripley, and she did that. And Dominic, on cue, walks onto camera with a big old bouquet of roses, trying to make up for basically being a gold digger, basically. And then Morgan said she's not mad, but if Dom could get her and Raquel's bags from the car and make sure the valet is ready for them at the end of the night, that'd be nice. So she may not be mad at him, but she's definitely got him in the doghouse. So, yeah. Morgan walked off camera, and then Dom, he turned to Finn, and he was telling the others, and Finn, that he doesn't think Liv's mad at all. Not at all. And then before ending the segment, Dom offers to be at ringside for Balor's street fight match, spoilers, against Damian Priest, but Balor tells him to worry about his girl instead. So, yeah, no Dominic in the match. That's good. The next match, Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. The notable spots was the second rope, top rope. I didn't mean to put top rope. I forgot to edit that out. A second rope white noise from Sheamus, which, is pretty good. The white noise is like, one of his finishers, I think, and it was a close call. Kaiser attempted to hit Sheamus with the shillelagh again because the shillelagh is what originally cracked Sheamus's ribs, but Sheamus hit him with the knee to the face he does. I like to call it the bro knee because the bro kick is his finisher, and that's basically like his signature. So, the bro knee, not that one. It ended after Sheamus ducked an enziguri from Kaiser and hit the bro kick. Sheamus defeats Ludwig Kaiser. And then post-match, he got into a shoving match with Braun Breaker, teasing a potential rematch, and later announced it is going to happen at Saturday night's main event here in January. Backstage, Seth Rollins is getting interviewed, and then he is told next week he will be facing Drew McIntyre And Rollins, he said next week he owes Drew one for WrestleMania, and it should be fun. He starts to walk away before bumping into Sami Zayn. Zayn says he heard Rollins talking about how tough his loss was and is available to talk. Rollins responds by saying it was a rough week for him, but it was great for Sami because his boy Roman got the Ula Fala back. And then Rollins finishes the conversation by telling Zayn, when are you going to stop helping Roman and start helping yourself? Interesting. Backstage, again, Karrion Kross exits Adam Pearce's office and tells The Miz that the Wyatt Six have been moved to SmackDown in this little transfer, trade, shakeup, whatever you want to call it. Kross warns The Miz that he better not have had anything to do with it. And I don't think he did, but Sami Zayn starts walking towards Pearce's office but gets stopped by Kross. The Miz mocking Sami for thinking that he could be a world champion. Zayn says he's going to go ask Pearce for a match with The Miz, and Miz says it looks like they'll have to deal with Zayn before Kross says you will deal with Zayn and then walks off camera. Let's see. Gunther, he comes out and says last week's Netflix debut was a monumental moment, and he was impressed, but less impressed with the performances in the ring. Gunther wishes that they had a roster that fulfills those high expectations. Talking about his. And then Gunther continues by saying how everyone is fighting over a personal drama. Who's head of the table? Who's the best in the world? And then he says, who cares? The only prize worth fighting for is the World Heavyweight Championship. That one back there. Jey Uso's music goes off, and Jey, he goes in the ring, and he starts by saying he wants to step up to Gunther for that World Heavyweight title because Drew McIntyre behind him. The Bloodline family drama behind him. And now it's just him, and he challenges Gunther for the World Heavyweight title at Saturday night's main event. And then Gunther, he asks him if he's serious, and continues by saying he admires Jey's courage, and Gunther himself would be naive if he thought he could hold this title forever. But Jey, he's even more naive if he thinks he can take it from Gunther. Gunther continues by saying how Jey has wrestled Gunther twice for the Intercontinental title, and both times Gunther beat him. He says that Jey is capable of a whole lot less than him, and that Uso is funny and entertaining, but when that bell rings, he will expose Jey for what he really is. A really talented tag team wrestler. Ouch. That probably hit Jey real deep. And Uso isn't on his level because for Jey Uso, main event is just a nickname. But for Gunther, main event is where he belongs. Gunther finishes by telling Jey to stick to the yeet and stay away from championship business. Saturday night's main event is fine with him. The decision is up to Jey. Gunther speaks spicy. He's got some spicy talk going on. He walks out the ring, but Jey stops Gunther, and he says he respects Gunther, and everything he said was true. Uso says every morning he wakes up betting on himself because he's still trying to earn respect. And at Saturday night's main event, Gunther will respect him when he beats his ass for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's also cap. Gunther is not losing to Jey. Or at least I don't think. Let's see. Lyra Valkyria versus Dakota Kai, the inaugural Intercontinental Championship Tournament Finals. Some notable spots in this match was Valkyria attempting a middle rope baseball slide, but Dakota Kai caught her legs, and then she got hit with a wheelbarrow facebuster onto the apron. That was a good spot. A suplex from the apron to the floor from Valkyria. That looked nasty because, the apron is the hardest part of the ring, but the floor, it's not much more forgiving. Dakota Kai hitting her chiropractor, but only got a 2 count. That move always looks crunchy. It always looks like it hurts. The go-do kick, which is, I guess, now Dakota Kai's finisher name, but I just put GTK. That's what I'll call it. The GTK from Kai, but Valkyria rolls out of the ring. And it ended after Valkyria hits Kai with her finisher, the Nightwing. Lyra Valkyria becomes the inaugural Intercontinental Champion, which definitely surprised me because I thought that Dakota Kai was going to win, but every once in a while WWE surprises me with some decision they make, but like it's not bad. Lyra's she's good. She what was it? The runner up in the Queen of the Ring last year. So she's pretty good in the ring. So her being the inaugural champion's fine, but I just hope Dakota Kai gets another shot sooner rather than later because she definitely deserves that title sooner rather than later as well. The Miz versus Sami Zayn. Back and forth match that ends after Zayn hits a haluva kick followed by the Blue Thunder Bomb to get the win. I don't really remember much from that match, so that's why that's the only bit that's there. But like, Sami Zayn wins with the Blue Thunder Bomb. That's like unheard of. I've never heard Sami Zayn beat anyone with the Blue Thunder Bomb. It's like a Blue Moon thing. Never happened before, or very rarely. Next segment, Rhea Ripley makes her way to the ring, and she starts a promo by saying that Mommy is back on top. Yeah! And she might seem like a broken record, but she wants to remind those who have forgotten that she is Rhea Ripley, and she is one of the most dominant women in WWE, and she is once again Women's World Champion. Then Nia Jax's music goes off, and she heads to the ring and starts by saying she was talking to Adam Pearce about this transfer window and couldn't help herself but bring herself down here to talk to Mommy. Nia continues by saying that she wants Ripley to know that she will win the Royal Rumble and she'll take whatever title she wants. Nia continues by saying Tiffany may think she's on top and Mommy might think the same thing, but then she starts taunting Bayley, who is out in the crowd because they're in her hometown of San Jose, California. Bayley jumps the barricade and tells Jax to come up with something different, and this may not be her show, but this is her city, and tells Jax to say whatever she has to say to her face. Bayley calls Nia a big dumb idiot, dang, before getting shoved down by Nia. Ripley gets in Nia's face before hitting a headbutt, but Nia hit Ripley with a even better headbutt that knocked Ripley down. Bayley kicks Nia in the face and then gets hit with a big boot from Ripley, sending her out of the ring, leaving Bayley and Ripley to stand tall in the ring. That means potentially we're teasing a potential Nia Jax versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World title. Maybe even Bayley, because I think I saw Bayley. She did that thing that like a lot of wrestlers do, specifically Randy, I can think of when he was with Cody, where they'll be like, helping the person, but then they'll be giving side eye to the title. So potential future rivalries ahead with that. So yeah. And then the main event, Finn Balor versus Damian Priest in a street fight. Some notable spots, Priest Beal tossing Finn Balor across the ring. I love when that spot happens, specifically anytime Keith Lee does it. I love it. A flatliner onto the announce table by Priest, so, picking him up and dropping him on the announce table face first. At this point, they're in the crowd because it's a street fight. A Falcon's arrow off a road crate, that's what I have it titled as, threw two tables onto the concrete floor. Because kind of similar to how Cody and Kevin had their spot on this side of the arena, Priest and Balor had it on this side of the arena. And they were deep in the crowd, and they went through two tables, and yeah, it wasn't a big fall, but still got hurt. After the commercial break, Balor's on the stretcher with a neck brace, getting stretchered out, and for a quick second, I actually thought Balor was hurt because normally they only put the stretchers out in serious cases, but Priest got stopped by Priest, and then Priest started wailing on him, so he wasn't actually injured, because if Priest did that, then he's a psychopath. He's punching Balor in the face, who's still tied up, by the way. He can't defend himself because he was stretchered. And then he rolled him down the ramp into the ring because the stretcher rolled down the ramp and binked on the ring and he slid in. A backstabber, moonsault, and coup de grace from Carlito, JD, and Finn onto Priest, but only got a 2 count. Man, it's Hogan through finishers right now, let me tell you. A coup de grace by Finn Balor from the apron through a table. Looked nice. And then it ended after Priest hit Balor with a razor's edge through the table, rolled him in the ring, and then hit a South of Heaven for the win. Damian Priest defeats Finn Balor. So yeah, this episode of Raw, it was definitely fun. Not as fun as the Netflix one, but that's obvious. But I still enjoyed it. I think Gable and Penta, Lyra and Dakota, and Priest and Finn were definitely the 3 best matches. I would personally probably say Gable and Penta at number 1, and then Priest and Balor, and then Dakota and Lyra. But they're all really good matches. I enjoyed all of them. Let's see what else. Let's just gloss over everything that happened again. So, Punk being in the Rumble, we knew that. Seth being in the Rumble, I had an idea that he would too, since Punk's gonna be in it. Drew being in it, that's gonna be fun. Gable and Penta, they just did everything great in that match. Like Pentagon's debut, his attire, just everything about it was good. So, I'm looking forward to see what Penta does in the future. Dom being in the doghouse, that's good. Dom always needs to get, like I said, the Dom hate. We love it. Sheamus and Kaiser setting up basically Sheamus versus Braun Breaker, like, I don't know, 3 or 4, their match. It's going to be good. Hopefully this time Sheamus can finally get the Intercontinental title, because I think that's the final one he needs to become a Grand Slam champion, just like Cena. Rollins facing Drew McIntyre next week. That's going to be fun because it's a WrestleMania rematch, basically. The Wyatt Six being on SmackDown, that's going to be interesting because I wonder who they're going to start messing with now, because they were obviously having faction versus faction, Wyatt Six and Final Testament. But, I'd have to sit and think about it, but I don't know anyone off the top of my head that the Wyatt Six can, terrorize on SmackDown. So we'll just have to wait and see. Gunther fighting Jey Uso. I knew once Jey Uso lost the IC title to Braun Breaker, I told it to my girlfriend who was watching with me that Jey Uso is going to have a world title opportunity again real soon, which that was probably back in October or something like that? Because it was before War Games. So I knew this was coming, but Gunther's going to win. Jay's not going to beat him. Gunther doesn't lose. He doesn't lose to nobody. Gunther is the man. That's what I'm telling you. Jey Uso can do all his yeets he wants. He's not beating Gunther. I promise. Lyra winning the Intercontinental title threw me up for a loop because I thought Dakota Kai was going to win, but like I said, Lyra's good as well. So, Miz versus Sammy. Sammy beat a world champion. They're going to try and set up that story for Sammy trying to get the world title again. The Rhea, Nia, Bayley stuff, like I said, setting up potential matches. And then Finn Balor versus Priest. I'm surprised Finn Balor didn't win. I thought, I think it would have been better if Balor won. Would have been better for his character, but Priest won because he's basically just the Undertaker of this generation. I don't remember the person who said it on Twitter, but them calling Damian Priest a bisexual Undertaker, that's basically basically the truth. But yeah, overall, this Raw was pretty good. It was a good birthday gift from WWE to me, even though I know they didn't think about me. But yeah, I think that's about it, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And until the next video, guys. See ya.